Hey everyone, I wanted to do a follow-up review and show some analysis that I've done for the Polk 265 RT series in-wall speakers. I'm showing here, this is just my home theater setup, but I have left, center, and right channels are all the Polk 265 RTs. Center channel is just behind the acoustically transparent screen. But just wanted to first give you a sense of the setup that I have before I go into the REW measurements. I'm using GIC Acoustics 244 panels placed on the reflection points. There's a mix of some have scatter plates, some don't, but then I also have corner bass traps situated. And I'm running with a Polk, sorry, not a Polk, but a Onkyo TX RZ50 receiver and a Monolith, I think 5100 series amplifier for this setup. Oh, and I also have another 244 on the ceiling here. But I've had these speakers now for a couple years. I think my home theater sounds great, especially considering that these are budget speakers. These are not $1,000 speakers or even more. And so while I'm not expecting to get the level of performance from these speakers as I would from, some of the multi-million-dollar home theaters that you see on other YouTube channels or the fancy speakers you hear about from Cedia, etc. Um, I've been happy with the performance of these, and to my knowledge, no one has ever posted anything online regarding the performance for the speakers. And I had posted a video maybe a year or two ago, just reviewing these briefly and saying how much I've enjoyed them. And they've definitely met my expectations for a budget home theater. But no one has ever actually shown REW measurements before. But I wanted to first just give you a sense of the setup that I have. And so this is, a well acoustically treated area, and I have additional acoustic panels throughout this room, but these are the main ones that these speakers would be dealing with. And then, of course, I have more acoustic panels and stuff on this wall as well as on this back wall here. So, overall, this is a well treated room. And so now I'm going to switch over and I'll show you the REW measurements both before Dirac calibration and post Dirac. Okay, so I'm in REW here. This is my pre-calibration of the Polk 265 RT speakers. And sorry for the low production quality. This is just me with a camera phone here. So as you can see, like overall, it's a fairly flat response. This is also including subwoofers, so I apologize. I don't have a measurement without the sub. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to have one, and I can see if I can take the time to do that. But at a high level, there are a few areas where there's some dips, right? But just starting off, right, without any calibration whatsoever. I think the trough here is about maybe 5 decibels or so. So a little bit bigger trough, but nothing crazy. And this is with 1/6 smoothing, by the way. If I were to switch this to psychoacoustic, yeah, it doesn't really change much. So I'll switch it back here to 1/6. And then for those that want less smoothing, maybe I'll just go with 1/24. So now you can see a little bit more of the behavior there. But overall, not bad, right? And I will switch over to the post Dirac calibration. Let me reset this here. I mean, you can see I'm a bassaholic. I like my bass. But let me switch this to 1/6 smoothing as well. It was already on. So you can see here though, there is still some variation, but I don't think it's quite as bad. So this would be, I guess, a 4 dB trough. There's a little bit more variation here in terms of going from what, 68 to 65, so about 3 decibels. So this is a more zoomed in views, just because I changed the limit, so it does look a little more jagged. But overall, I think this is a slightly smoother, flatter response. And I like to have, as part of the Harman curve, just having the very high frequencies trail off. So this is intentional. I could have kept this, more flat and straight, but that was just the way that I set up my house curve. So let me switch here again. I wonder, actually, I might be able to try to get both in the screenshot. So let me do that real quick here. And I think I measured it with different levels, so that's why they're not perfectly lining up. But so top here is the pre-Dirac. Orange line here is post. So you can see overall smoother response with the intended effect of higher frequencies trailing off here. So is this, the perfect REW measurement that, you'll see some YouTubers post in terms of their, multi-$1,000 speakers and, tens of thousands of dollars in equipment, et cetera? No. I'm not claiming at all that this is a world-class home theater by any means. But for the price, this isn't bad. And, I think Dirac definitely helps in terms of the calibration. But, if you're like me, just an amateur enthusiast who wants to enjoy, a fun movie, but, you're on a budget, you don't want to drop tens and tens of thousands of dollars on super nice equipment, then, I'd say give these a shot, try it out. Because I've been happy. I've had, friends and family over, and, it's always fun to put on a movie, and everyone's always like impressed and enjoying it, right? Because most people, for them, it's like they're used to the TV speaker, or they're used to a cheap sound bar. And those, these speakers are going to blow past anything, that those types of speakers could output, right? So if you're wanting an upgrade, but you're not wanting to drop, like I said, thousands and thousands of dollars, I think this is a great option. It's sleek, it's in the wall, and keep in mind that this is with a lot of acoustic treatments, right? Not everyone puts acoustic treatments in the room, which I think is, maybe why sometimes their speakers aren't sounding great. And so I invested the time and the money to buy acoustic treatments and also build my own. And so I think that's also helping here to contribute to the response I'm getting. So hopefully this was helpful. Like I said, I haven't heard of anyone ever posting anything about these speakers and the measurements that they could get. And so I figured this video would be helpful, just to demonstrate what the speakers are capable of. So let me know if there's other data or questions that you'd have about these speakers. I plan to post a separate video around the Polk 65 RTs, which I use for my side surrounds. And also I'm going to post a separate video on the Polk 70 RTs, which are the in-ceiling speakers. Those have some interesting responses, and so I'll post a separate video on that. And so, let me know in the comments if you have questions. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in.